Well, how does this story start? Embarrassing myself in front of Sir Wayne Rooney. Well, when I was probably in middle school, we had Super Nintendo, and I think that's around the time that FIFA came out. And we always used to play with Manchester United. So to me, I always played as Wayne Rooney. That was my guy. Now, years later, I would come to do the visa work for Cage Warriors and their management team, which has a lot of wonderful fighters that come out of Europe, especially United Kingdom, like Paddy the Baddy, Meatball Malley, Ilya Taporia. Actually, no, Ilya Taporia fought in Cage Warriors, I believe, but he wasn't with them as a management company. Matter of fact, that's another story I have being in London when Patty was fighting and Ilya were fighting on the same card. And boy, did I not know they don't like each other in the hotel. Almost got caught with a punch. That's a story for another day. But so the way it works when they have the UFC in the UK in London at the O2 is that there's two fights that weekend. The first one is Cage Warriors, which happens kind of in the theater room, and the second one is UFC, which happens the next day at the O2, and it shows afternoon in the US, but there it's happening at no, actually it's kind of happening in the middle of the day. Now I think about it, the fights will start around 10 in the morning, and so by the time we get out and it's time for the after party, it's probably only like 8 or so. But the crowd is nothing like what I've seen before. They're chanting the whole time. They're drunk. It's lit. So after the fight on Saturday, which now is the UFC fight, we go to the after party, which is also in the O2. There's like a lot of food shops and nightclubs in there, and the owner of Cage Warriors had pretty much rented out this whole venue. And I was just there with somebody I was dating at the time, and didn't really know too many people besides the people that work for Cage Warriors, and a lot of them were done with it. They were ready to just go away. And I was spending a lot of my time around Patty, who's actually a little bit different when he's like not in front of the cameras. Not to say that he's putting on a show or anything like that, but other than that, he's a pretty kind of like just like quiet guy. And I don't think he likes to party that much. So I'm kind of like following him around, but it gets me into like a certain section of the events. And so I'm just sitting there kind of bored, not knowing what to do. And I start talking to this guy, having a great conversation with him. And we're talking for a good 5 minutes. And then I look at him like, man, you know who you look like? It's like you look like this guy I used to play with in FIFA, but you know the graphics weren't that good. But you look like this guy. His name was Wayne Rooney. And he's like, I am Sir Wayne Rooney. And I was so embarrassed because I was literally talking to the guy about like soccer and kind of basic stuff for a good of 5 minutes before I finally realized who he was. And let's just say I didn't stay at the party much longer after that because I didn't want to be the guy that's just like, man, who's that guy around Wayne Rooney? They do know who he was. But in this time in this industry, I've been blessed to have a lot of experiences like that. And maybe in another video, I'll tell you about being in the middle of the beef I didn't know about between Patty the Batty and Mr. Ilya Taporia. Have a good one.